Tham Luang Cave Incident. On 23 June 2018, 13 figures gathered at Tham Luang Nang Non Cave in Chiang Rai Province, northern Thailand. The group consisted of 12 boys from the Wild Boars junior football team and their assistant coach, Ekafan Chantawong, 25, a former Buddhist monk and experienced local guide. Among the players were Chanan Vibulrungrung, 11, the youngest and a first-time serious caver carrying a small flashlight, Pirapat Sompiang Jai, 16, an experienced hiker and team captain who brought rope and batteries, and Mongkol Bunpiam, 13, a casual explorer excited for adventure. Their purpose was simple: explore familiar passages, sign names on a traditional cave wall, and return before dinner. Each boy wore a bicycle helmet and carried a headlamp or torch with light snacks. The cave mouth yawned wide and dark, framed by shrines and warning signs about monsoon season. Red mud already slicked the entrance from earlier showers. The boys moved single file into the main passage, their lights cutting narrow beams through humid darkness. Temperature dropped immediately, and air smelled of wet limestone and earth. Water dripped steadily from the ceiling, pooling in shallow depressions along uneven floors. They walked deeper, squeezing through sections where rock walls pressed close, then opening into taller chambers where voices echoed strangely. The cave twisted and descended gradually, each turn taking them further from daylight. Ek kept count, reminding them to stay together and avoid side passages. Scattered puddles reflected headlamps like black mirrors. In one narrow crawl, boys had to duck low, helmets scraping ceiling. After 40 minutes, they reached a section where water glazed the floor more thickly than before. The shift came without warning. On their return journey, boys reached a low section they'd crossed earlier. Now water rushed through it, ankle deep and rising fast. Brown churning liquid carried leaves and debris from somewhere deep inside the mountain. Ek froze, understanding instantly, flash flooding from unexpected rain outside. He waded forward alone to check the exit route. The passage ahead narrowed into a submerged tunnel, water climbing walls with terrifying speed. Current pulled at his legs. He turned back, face tight with fear, and told boys the truth: they couldn't get out. They had to go deeper, find higher ground, and wait for water to drop. The decision felt impossible, but rising flood left no choice. They turned and pushed further into the cave, wading through chest-deep water now, smallest boys struggling to keep heads up. One child went under briefly, surfacing with a gasp, eyes wide. They scrambled up a muddy slope, climbing until they found a raised sandbank in a chamber called Pattaya Beach, 4 kilometers from entrance. Days blurred together in total darkness. Food ran out within hours. Batteries died one by one, leaving them in blackness so complete they couldn't see their own hands. Ek led meditation exercises to slow breathing and conserve oxygen, which dropped to dangerous levels, eventually reaching just 15% compared to normal 21%. Boys drank water dripping from cave walls. Outside, a massive operation mobilized. Over 100 divers, 900 police officers, and 2,000 soldiers from multiple countries converged on site. Rescue teams pumped more than 1 billion liters of water from the cave system, while divers navigated flooded zero-visibility passages. On the 9th day, 2 British cave divers surfaced in the boys' chamber, their lights breaking through darkness. Between 8 and 10 July, rescue divers extracted all 13 survivors through flooded passages. Each boy was fitted with a full-face diving mask, given mild sedation, and guided by expert divers through narrow submerged sections. The final group emerged just as a critical pump failed, and water began rising again at 50 centimeters every 10 minutes. They survived 18 days underground. Alpazat Caverns Incident. On 17 March 2004, 6 British military personnel descended into Alpazat Caverns near Quetzalan, Puebla, Mexico, for a planned 36-hour expedition. The team consisted of Lieutenant Commander Chris Mitchell, 35, Royal Navy, an experienced technical diver and expedition leader carrying waterproof maps and VHF radio. Flight Lieutenant Jonathan Sims, 32, Royal Air Force, a recreational caver with moderate experience who packed climbing rope and carabiners. Captain Charles Milton, 29, British Army, a first-time serious caver excited about underground river systems who brought helmet, mounted light, and backup batteries. Also present were Squadron Leader Simon Cornhill, 31, RAF, a fitness enthusiast and casual explorer; Sergeant John Rowe, 28, Army, a climber carrying first aid kit and emergency thermal blankets; and Warrant Officer Toby Hamnett, 34, Navy, the team's communications specialist managing radio equipment. Their mission was exploratory: map new sections of cave, photograph underground river, and test emergency shelter protocols. Each carried standard expedition gear, including helmets, multiple light sources, rations for 2 days, and waterproof bags. The team descended through tight squeezes and vertical drops, using fixed ropes to navigate shafts, plunging into darkness. The cave system was vast, with massive chambers connected by narrow passages barely wide enough to crawl through sideways. Temperature rose as they went deeper, climbing to uncomfortable levels despite constant moisture. Water dripped everywhere, echoing through limestone galleries. They moved carefully, testing handholds and calling out to maintain contact in sections where teams spread out. After several hours, they reached a pre-positioned emergency camp on a 15-foot ledge above a subterranean river, exactly where planning documents indicated. The river below ran swift and clear, fed by surface streams somewhere in mountain above. They set up shelter, ate rations, and prepared to explore further next morning. Disaster struck without warning on their second day inside. Heavy rains hammered the jungle above a flash storm, dumping water into the mountain's hidden sinkhole network. Within an hour, underground river transformed from steady flow into roaring torrent. Brown debris-filled water surged through passages, rising at terrifying speed. The team scrambled onto their ledge as exit route. A low tunnel they'd crawled through the day before flooded completely and became impassable. Water continued climbing, reaching within feet of their platform before finally stabilizing. They were trapped on a narrow shelf of rock, suspended above churning water in total darkness beyond helmet lights, with no way forward or back. The soldiers activated emergency protocols immediately. Mitchell attempted radio contact, but received only static rock, blocked all signals. They rationed remaining food and water, calculating perhaps 3 days before dehydration became critical. Heat was oppressive, climbing above 30 degrees Celsius with near 100% humidity. Within hours, all 6 had stripped to minimal clothing, drenched in sweat. To maintain morale, they established routines: sleep shifts, equipment checks, and even fashioned playing cards from paper and waterproof packaging to pass endless hours. Days blurred together. Lights began failing. Hunger became constant companion, then gave way to weakness. By day 6, conversation had largely stopped. They conserved energy, lying still in oppressive heat. On 23 March, after team had been missing 6 days, 2 British cave divers, Richard Stanton and Jason Mallinson from Cave Rescue Organization, arrived in Mexico and entered Alpazat. The divers navigated 300 meters of completely flooded passage, feeling their way through zero-visibility brown water. When they surfaced at emergency ledge, their lights found 6 emaciated men who could barely speak. The rescue plan was audacious: teach soldiers most with no diving experience enough skills to swim through 300 meters of submerged cave. Over next day, Stanton and Mallinson worked methodically, coaching each soldier through mass clearing and following guide rope. On 24 March, all 6 soldiers were successfully extracted. They emerged after 8 days underground. Riesending Cave Incident. On 7 June 2014, 3 experienced speleologists descended into Riesending Cave in Bavarian Alps near Berchtesgaden, Germany, the country's deepest pit cave system, plunging over 1,100 meters beneath surface. The team was led by Dr. Johann Westhauser, 52, a highly experienced cave explorer and scientist with decades of vertical caving expertise, carrying specialized rope systems, helmet with multiple LED lights, and emergency communication devices. His companions were Hermann Schwartz, 41, a veteran technical caver and rope specialist managing vertical gear and anchors, and Marcus Scheuermann, 35, a newer team member with 5 years serious caving experience, carrying first aid supplies and backup batteries. Their goal was ambitious but routine: push deeper into unexplored sections, document new passages with survey equipment and cameras, and test new rope techniques on massive vertical drops. Each carried helmets with redundant lighting systems, harnesses rated for industrial climbing, emergency rations, thermal layers, and communication gear designed for underground use. The descent took hours. Team rappelled down pitch after pitch, vertical shafts ranging from 20 to over 100 meters deep, using rope systems pre-rigged on earlier expeditions. Between big drops were squeezes, crawls, and boulder-choked passages where they removed packs and pushed them ahead. Rock was sharp and wet, coated with slippery mineral deposits. Temperature dropped steadily as they descended, hovering just above freezing despite exertion. Water dripped constantly from unseen heights above, occasionally becoming small waterfalls that soaked whoever was rappelling. Communication was difficult. Voices didn't carry well in vertical environment, and they relied on rope signals and helmet lights to coordinate. After nearly full day of descent, they reached 1,000-meter depth mark, entering sections few humans had ever seen. Cave here was enormous. Cathedral-sized chambers broken by rockfall and debris from ancient collapses. The accident happened in an instant. Westhauser was traversing beneath steep slope of breakdown when a rock roughly size of car tire dislodged from above without warning. It struck him directly on head and upper body with tremendous force. Despite helmet, he collapsed immediately, unconscious, blood spreading across cave floor. Schwartz and Scheuermann rushed to him, finding him breathing but unresponsive, with clear signs of severe head trauma. They stabilized his neck, wrapped him in thermal blankets, and activated emergency beacon specialized device, sending distress signal through rock layers to surface receivers. Then they waited in freezing darkness, knowing rescue from this depth would be extraordinarily difficult and dangerously slow. Hours passed before Westhauser regained partial consciousness, confused and in severe pain. His pupils were unequal sign of traumatic brain injury. The rescue mobilized slowly, then exploded into one of the largest cave operations in European history. Over 700 rescuers from cave rescue organizations across Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, and beyond converged on mountain. Challenge was immense. Extract critically injured man up 1,000 vertical meters through tight passages, requiring hundreds of rope systems, specialized stretchers, and constant medical monitoring. Teams worked in shifts, hauling equipment and supplies down while preparing ascent route. Doctors descended to provide on-site care, administering pain medication, and monitoring Westhauser's deteriorating condition. Each vertical pitch required careful rigging. Stretcher had to be hauled up shafts using mechanical advantage systems while medics climbed alongside. Progress was measured in meters per hour, sometimes less. The operation stretched across 11 days and 10 hours. Rescuers worked around clock in freezing wet conditions, sleeping in brief shifts on narrow ledges. Equipment failures and rock instability caused delays. At one point, critical hauling system jammed halfway up 60-meter pitch, requiring hours to resolve while Westhauser hung suspended in darkness. On 19 June, after 274 hours underground at 1,000 meters depth, Westhauser finally reached surface. He was immediately airlifted to hospital, suffering from severe traumatic brain injury, hypothermia, malnutrition, and psychological trauma. Rescue cost nearly €1 million and left more than 1 ton of equipment scattered throughout cave. Westhauser survived, though recovery took years.